Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a minute since I've worked on any of the Lexuses. So today's video, we're gonna be dyeing this tan floor mat right here for my Sportcross. So if you guys didn't know, the Sportcross was only like 3,000 of them made in the US. So a lot of the parts are becoming scarce. I needed a trunk mat, but the only trunk mat available was a tan one. So I ended up buying this tan one. What I'm gonna be doing today is I'm gonna be mixing up this red black dye, and we're gonna go ahead and try to dye this thing black so it matches the interior of my car. So stay tuned. Looking for this rear floor mat for the trunk for the Sportcross. Ever since I bought the car, all my attempts to try to get the black one were futile because all they had left was this tan one. So I finally bit the bullet and ordered this tan one from Lexus. Here's the part number if you guys need it too. That's all they have left available anywhere in the US or even in the world right now, I believe. So this is all you can get. So what we're gonna be doing today is we've got this black RIT dye right here. I've got a sponge to spread it and in a spray bottle. So what I'm gonna do is you actually have to mix that with boiling hot water. I'm gonna grab another gallon to actually mix it because this thing is like cheap plastic and it's probably gonna melt if I put boiling water in here. So I'll mix that in like another container, pour it in there, and then we'll go ahead, spray it on, use this with some gloves to try to get this thing dyed. One thing on the instructions, it says 4 ounces for 3 gallons if you were like dyeing t-shirts or clothes. We're gonna make it much more concentrated with this. So I'm already gonna use like half this bottle, which is 4 ounces, with 1 gallon to see how well it works. This RIT dye is actually available at Walmart. It's pretty cheap. I think it's like $3 for this bottle. I actually bought 2 bottles in case I needed it. The spray bottle was like $1 or something like that. That's why I don't trust the plastic to hold up to the hot water. Shake this thing up for a couple minutes just to make sure it's nice and mixed. Boil your water. So it doesn't need to be boiling. It needs to be at least 140 degrees. So my water is right now boiling. We'll go ahead, pull that over here. Pour about half of this into the bucket, and then we'll add the water to it and then mix it up. All right, so I've got my water boiler here. Just I pour it away from the dye. It's gonna splash as we pour in there. That's probably like 32 ounces or so that's gonna go into the spray bottle that we have. But yeah, we just wanna mix it in here. Get a nice thorough mixing. Let it cool down a little bit before we put it in that bottle because it's gonna melt that bottle. All right, I've mixed it for a few minutes. Go ahead and pour it in this bottle slowly so it won't splash anything. All right, I don't want to fill it up all the way, but that was about 32 ounces that I mixed, a little bit more than that, maybe 40. Go ahead, put this off to the side, get the spray, and then we'll go ahead and start spraying it. So we'll start off by we don't want to make it too wide. Yes. That's spraying too much on around the edges, so make sure you have something laid down on the ground so it doesn't spread too much. Okay, there you go. So you want to get the nice sharp, too sharp. Then you want to use your sponge and just kind of work it into there. Work it in, get it in all the fibers inside, every direction if you can. And just kind of work your way through the whole thing until it becomes black. So this is gonna take probably a couple times over again to get it all black. Right now, as I coat it and I move along, it's getting brown. So that, of course, that's kind of expected. You're gonna have to go a couple coats of this to make sure it gets a black gray coating. All right, so we got one full coat on here. As you can see, it's still kind of brownish and tannish. So I'm gonna go ahead and just continue on, just putting it in there, spraying it on. I found like on the edges and everything, you can spray a thick coating and just let it soak in. So this might take a couple tries to get it completely black just because all this tan bleeds through too much. The sponge really helps get inside the fibers, but still you can still see like right around the edges. You just gotta soak that and let the black work in. I emptied the second half of that batch, and as you can see, coverage still kind of sucks. You can still see a lot of the tan in here. So we'll go ahead, mix some more right now. I'm boiling the water, mix the second half. I'm gonna spray it on. Now that I've gotten all the fibers kind of soaked in, I'm just gonna spray the surface. I don't think I'm gonna rub it in with the sponge and just kind of let it soak in. So I finished that second half with the bottle of dye. I mixed it a little bit more concentrated this time. I was able to get much better coverage now. So right there, you can still see that it's not completely black, but in real life, it's much more gray now. In the camera, right now it kind of looks tannish, but that's more of a gray. It's really just reflecting off the light right now. I'm gonna actually let it dry overnight, and then we'll catch back up on this and see how it looks. I might have to do a second coat with that second bottle, but I think that's gonna be best. We'll just go ahead and let this dry and then try another, at least half a bottle of the dye, if not the whole bottle. Just let it soak in to make it much deeper black. All right, I let this dry overnight and I actually left it outside this morning just to make sure everything dried up in the sun. And you can see this thing turned out pretty awesome right here as far as how deep the black is on most of the areas. As you can see there, when we back up, look at that. You can see I brushed it with this brush right here just to kind of see it. So right here, you can see there's some light spots right there I need to go ahead and touch up. If I comb it one direction, it's all black, but I comb it the other direction, you can still see some of the tan bleed through. Same with this area right here. I'm gonna go ahead and mix a concentrated bottle, probably like that 32-ounce bottle right there with 4 ounces of dye. That way it's very concentrated. I'm gonna go ahead and just spray these areas, spray all that and let it dry out, and then do it again tomorrow in the sun and see how this thing turns out. All right, so it looks like after we washed away the dye, we're left with this like greenish tint right here. So obviously that dye didn't work very well as far as penetrating and getting into these fibers. I did a little bit of research, and these fibers are actually like a synthetic fiber, more like a nylon fiber, I think. And the RIT dye doesn't work too well with it. As you can see, it did change the color from the tan, but it can't get that jet black that we want. It's gonna end up with green. So really the only other option is to use like a spray type dye, like more like a spray paint, more for a nylon. That's not really a true dye, but it will turn this thing much more black than this green that we have here. I'll let it dry, see how this thing looks once it's dry, but I suspect it's gonna be pretty much the green just like this. Hey guys, thanks for joining me on this video. As you can see, it was pretty much a failure trying to get that RIT dye to work on that rug. I was hoping for the best from what I've seen online, but after rewatching some of those videos I saw on YouTube, it looks like the guys that did the RIT, they didn't really wash it out. If you don't wash the dye out, it stays black, but once you wash it out to do it properly, you can see the green ends up on that. And some of those guys that I saw online, they were actually just dyeing an existing black or gray rug to black, where I was going from tan to black, which is a lot more color change. I'm gonna go ahead in a future video probably use that vinyl spray or that vinyl dye to see how well that works. But as far as this goes, I'll just leave it for a couple weeks till I get around to the other project and I'll mess with that. If you guys found this video useful and informative for what you're doing, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Turn on bell notifications, get notified every time I upload a video. For all these different projects, if I can do it, you guys can do it. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.